All right. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We are back. Continuing with our look at the triennial Torah portion. This week we will be looking at Genesis chapter 23, Bereshit 23, which is the life of Sarah. Kaye Sarah. All right. We are going to go ahead and just jump right in over here. I'm going to pull up Genesis chapter 23. Genesis 23. We'll go ahead and just read through it. The whole chapter here, and then we will discuss. Go ahead and pull this up here. Go ahead and read for us chapter 23. Nice and loud.
And Sarah lived 127 years, the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Abraham
Okay, go ahead.
Let's start over, right?
Yeah, start over.
And Sarah lived 127 years, the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Abraham rose up from behind his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a foreigner and a sojourner among you. Give me property for a burial site among you, so that I bury my dead from my presence. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my master. You are a prince of Elohim among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial sites. None of us withholds from you his burial site from burying your dead. So Abraham rose and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your desire that I bury my dead from my presence, hear me and approach Ephron, son of Sohar, for me. And let me have the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me for the complete amount of silver as property for a burial site among you. And Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gate of his city, saying, No, my master, listen to me. I shall give you the field and the cave that is in it. I shall give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I shall give it to you. Bury your dead. And Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If only you would hear me, I shall give the amount of silver for the field. Take it from me, and let me bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My master, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Thus the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial site.
All right. Very good. Okay, so the life of Sarah. So if we go back up here, we find some interesting things. Maybe not so interesting when you just take a glance. But when we look at things a little closer, comparatively speaking, to the rest of Scripture, we find that when we look at this verse number 1 here, where it talks about, where it says, and Sarah lived 127 years, the years of the life of Sarah. It's interesting when we look at Scripture, we find many places where, it gets to the end of someone's life and they give a total of years that they lived, and they say this very same thing. Like, these were the years of the life of Abraham, or Isaac, or Jacob, or Moses, or some king, or some great prophet. But only here do we find this mentioned in this way in regards to a lady, a woman. And that woman, of course, is Sarah. We think about, the history of Israel, the history of the people. When we talk about Abraham, the father of the faith. But if Abraham is the father, then Sarah, of course, is the mother.
Mm-hmm.
We think about all of the trials and tribulations that Abraham went through. Sarah went through those same things. She was right there with him every step of the way. In fact, when you look at all of the things that involved Abraham and the testing of his faith, it's not as if she was just kind of a bystander in something that was going on in his life, but she was an integral part to each one of those things that you look at in regards to the testing of the faith of Abraham. And so when we talk about our initial examples of faith being exemplified through individuals, we must in fact remember Sarah. Sarah, was put here, as I said, as this chapter begins here, in a way that no one else in Scripture, no other woman has been put, right? There's other women that we see in Scriptures, we have books, Esther, we have prophetesses and all of these things. But just this one singular verse here actually gives us kind of a difference, right? That is given she belongs to an exclusive class of folks, of people who their lives are kind of parenthesized in scripture. And so it's important for us then to actually look at her life and see if we're able to gain some understanding as to the things, the ways that she did things, and things that we're able to gain and learn from her actions. So let's go back. Let's look at a few things here. Let's look at. Let's go to. Where's my thing here? Let's look at this here for a moment. Hold on one second. Let me pull up our tools here. Shabbat shalom to everyone here. Go ahead and like the video, share it to your friends. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Let's go ahead and look at verse 1 here. Look at this word here, life, because they talk to us about the life of Sarah. This word here, chai, which literally means alive, right? And so, again, what we see here is basically what it kind of gives credence to this verse. This first verse is the lifetime was causing us to look at and consider, think about the lifetime of Sarah, the time that she was alive. We see here that she, of course, has died. We see here where it talks about the fact that Abraham mourns Sarah and he weeps for her. There's an interesting thing that we think about that I mentioned on last week, kind of the timing, because of the fact that, the binding of Isaac happens, and then, right after it happens, we see the death of Sarah. It's almost as if she lives her whole life. She lives her whole life to kind of make it to this great destination of birthing the beginning of the covenant that the Most High has made with Abraham, the blessing of the covenant in terms of there being this seed that comes and begins this people, and she never gets. She of course meets her son, but she never gets to see any of the fruits that come from it, which is another interesting thing, because it's another thing that kind of points us towards the idea of faith. She began a thing, and she lived it out to the fullness as far as she was concerned, but she never saw the total impact of the things that were actually birthed, created in her, which of course is an actual nation, a multitude of people that literally came from and through her. And so again, when we think about her highlights, if you will, in her life story, every one of the things is really giving us a picture of faith. But again, before we go too far, let's think about this word here, chai. Again, which means alive, fresh, plant, water, life, living thing, right? All of these different words. I want to go down to, I want to go back. Let's see if I have the
That's interesting. Commuting.
I want to see the ancient here. If I can go down far enough. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. All right, here's the ancient here. The het and the yod. The action of this word het is live, right? The concrete of this word here is stomach. And the abstract of this word here is life. And so when the stomach is empty, one is famished and weak. You know, I know of people that when they don't eat, their just whole life is just ruined, right? Their whole life is ruined when they don't eat. They're weak and famished, and there's nothing that they're able to even do or think about doing without when they have an empty stomach, right? But when it's filled, they are revived. So this organ is seen as the life, as an empty stomach is like death, but a revived stomach is life. And so when you think about this word here again, this het and this yod, which is translated as life, you know, you also think about the het as being this it's a fence, right? And so it causes there to be differentiations, right? Inside of the fence is boundaries. And so you're able to see, you know, it represents that which separates us or that which brings us together. But then you also see this arm and this hand, right? This arm that comes down from above, and you know, and the hand comes out and does work and does things, right? And so when we think about the things that are done, actions, work that are done that come down from above. It's interesting when you think about the yod from this kind of a standpoint, from the modern standpoint, where the yod kind of hovers, right? It kind of it's up, it's elevated, right? It's suspended in the air. And even when we think about the drawing of the ancient, it comes down and then deals with the things. And so this causes us to think about the Most High, right? And the Most High, of course, that comes down and works with us with his hand, is the one who's able to make the great distinction whether or not you're going to experience life or death, whether you're going to be on one side of the fence or the other. And so when we think about just the idea of life, we can't think about life, you know, without thinking about the one who is life. Mm-hmm. Let's look over real fast over at John and read verse 6 right here.
Yeshua said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
he is the life, it says. And so those that aren't experiencing Messiah aren't experiencing life. When you are separated from the Most High, you're not experiencing life because he is life. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And so when we think about the life of Sarah, she is one who exhibited great faith. Because again, we're dealing with her going to these places that Abraham is sending her to. Go off with these people and just say that you're my sister. And we don't see in the scriptures no rebuttals from her. Maybe in the lost books they got some rebuttals. But over here, she doesn't say anything. She just goes, right? Mm-hmm. Abraham says for her to go and say that she don't tell the people. They're visited by angels. Is the only way they ever gonna even know what the reality of the situation is. It's not like she's going over there and like telling them like, look, man, my husband tripping. That's my husband. Like, it's not my brother. That's my like we don't have these things in the scriptures. The angels, messengers from on high, literally have to come down and tell these people what's going on. Not because Sarah let the cat out the bag, but angels did. Right? These people are having dreams. She did what she was supposed to do. Her husband said for her to go over and do this thing, and then she just did it. We don't hear about her resisting these things. And she don't come back and talk about it after the fact. Like, you sent me out here to be with this. You sent me over here. Who knows what could have happened? Blah, blah, blah. We don't have that. But again, so when we think about Sarah and her life, she gives us a picture of faith. She teaches us faith, among other things. But faith, is way up there on the list. So just at the same time as Abraham is going through his trials and tribulations that are connected with his faith, him having to trust in the Most High, and him failing, by the way, Abraham's failing these tests. Sarah's passing the tests. While Abraham's failing, Sarah's passing. He wasn't never supposed to have sent Sarah in the first place. He's supposed to have faith in the Most High to protect him as he went.
Especially the second time.
You saying especially the second time? Why are you saying this?
Because the angel said.
Because it happened already, you mean?
Well, it happened already. So it's a repeat of the test. And the angel said this time next year, Yeah. So he had to, if he had belief in that, he had to know he was going to be around this time next year at least.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so again, we see the father of our faith, Abraham, where he's failing, where he is falling short in what he's supposed to be exhibiting for us. Sarah is prevailing. She's winning over here. She's the picture of faith. Sarah is. When Sarah, we see Sarah, she chuckles when she hears the message that she's going to have a son. She laughs inside of herself. Inside of herself. She's not laughing out loud. Like, come on, let's be real about the situation now. Like, when something happens, it's one thing to openly speak about a thing. It's one thing to allow a thought or something that happens inside of your mind to come out of your mind. You know, we think all kinds of things, but then it's a whole other thing to allow that thing to escape out of your mouth. The thing that keeps it in your mind and not coming out of your mouth, of course, that in and of itself is an operation of wisdom. You're using discretion. Inside of her, she's these
That doesn't make any sense.
These people crazy. I'm an old lady. I'm past the what did it say? I'm past the
time of the woman.
The time of women has passed. But this is going on inside of her, in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't dare speak it. And so it's interesting that, you know, again, whenever she's called out about something that she just thought inside of herself. Not that she's, you know, they have this. It's interesting that now, in these times that we live in, you know, our women, I'm saying ours, you know, people that look like us, women, are described as being these loud, boisterous, overbearing people.
That's a shame.
They just loud and just doing all kinds of things.
A little bit loud.
Well, that's the Western influence on you, I think.
But I mean, not in that respect.
Well, okay. So, but what I'm saying is that there's an overall picture, right, of
stereotype.
The stereotype is the perfect word, whether it be right or wrong, of what our people, the way that we act. Now, if Sarah was the stereotypical woman, right, this whole narrative would have been different.
No, it would never have gone down.
It'd been way different. Like I ain't going nowhere.
What's wrong with you?
You want to send me over here to blah, blah, blah. Right? But she was none of those things, right? So again, when we're able to look at her life, which this first verse, you know, tries to call us to do, to look at her life, you know, understanding the years of her life, it causes us to understand and see a way in which a woman should be. She is a perfect example, right? Let's keep on going down here. Let's look at some other things here, because there's an understanding that we're able to see and know that existed inside of Sarah, that we are able to know that she was able to understand, which helps us to understand why she's able to just go and do what it is that her husband says for her to be doing, even though this thing is just crazy. Even though this, yes, I say crazy. Even though this thing is the exact opposite of what it is that the Most High is testing in the first place. He's testing the faith of Abraham by putting him in these situations, and again, you know, he's failing. But the thing that we're able to deduce from the actions of Sarah is to know that she was able to have the understanding that the Most High was in fact in control of the situation. And so she was able to go, she was able to be quiet, she was able to keep that truth that she had inside of her to herself 2 times. Let's look over at a verse in Deuteronomy which teaches us this lesson that Sarah quietly teaches us. Let's go over to read for us. Read 39 and 40.
And you shall know today and shall recall to your heart that Yahweh himself is Elohim in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. There is none else. And you shall guard his laws and his commands, which I command you today, so that it is well with you and with your children after you, and so that you prolong your days on the soil which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you for all time.
Okay, very good. When we're able to understand who the Most High is in terms of him being, as it says in verse 39, he says that he is the Elohim of the heavens above and of the earth beneath. If we know that this is in fact true, and we are servants of the Most High, how is he not going to take care of us and the things that we need? She had to have had some type of peace within her to be able to maintain her situation in these trying times that she was in. And she had to have had an understanding of where her protection came from. In situations where her physical protector, wasn't protecting her. In places where Abraham wasn't doing what he was supposed to have been doing, the Most High steps in and keeps her and protects her each time. What do we have here? Isaiah 16:24 talks of daughters of, let's look at this. Let's pull this up here. Yeshayahu 3.
15.
16.
Oh, 16.
So yeah, just read down from 16.
And Yahweh says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with outstretched
Okay,
necks.
just wait right there.
You know how to go further.
Haughty. Now we can just say for a matter of fact that we never saw this characteristic from Sarah. Like we don't see no haughtiness involved in her situation. When she has issues with Hagar, she can have whatever issue she want to have with Hagar because that was her maidservant. The nature of their relationship was mistress, was madam, and worker. Like she was the boss of Hagar, right? And so she had the right to be however she wanted to be about her. No matter if she was the wife of Abraham or not. And so we don't see no haughtiness. We don't see no haughtiness coming from Sarah. Okay, keep on going.
And walk with outstretched necks and seductive eyes, walking and mincing as they go, making a jingling with their feet.
We're going to talk about all of these things in a few minutes, but keep on going.
Therefore, Yahweh shall smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh expose their nakedness.
Oh my goodness! Thank you very much, Cam, for giving these verses here, because these verses go along good with the other verse that we're gonna go to. Keep on going, because this over here is talking about This is literally the antithesis here of Sarah. She was nothing like none of these things. In fact, it talks about these bad things that these people, the daughters of Zion, the characteristics that they exhibited, and then not only those characteristics, but a kind of curse that came upon the people as a result of the things that they was doing. Keep on going.
In that day, Yahweh takes away the finery of the anklets and the headbands and the crescents, the pendants, the bracelets and the veils, the headdresses and the leg ornaments and the sashes and the perfume bottles and the amulets, the rings and the nose jewels, the costly robes and the cloaks and the shawls and the purses, the mirrors and the fine
Hold
linen.
on. Why is the list so long of all of the things that these women got? Like the list is long than a mug. Ain't they got all these things? All of these. So why is the list so long? Like they got this and that and all of these things. Keep on going.
And the turbans and the large veils. And it shall be instead of a sweet fragrance, a smell of decay. And instead of a belt, a rope. And instead of well set hair, baldness.
Good.
And instead of a festal robe, a girding of sackcloth, and a branding instead of loveliness. Your men shall fall by the sword, and your strength in battle.
And so it's interesting. It's interesting, the way that it speaks when it talks about, the baldness, right? Because a woman, she has these tresses, this long, beautiful hair that is kind of typical of women. And then when we have these things that we get into, these negative things that we get into, I'm saying we, as I'm not a woman, our people get into, we end up with baldness. Right?
The edges get worn back.
Edges,
the
baby hairs.
You gotta put the gel.
All of these things that we do. I can't even. I'm not included. All of these things that you do out here is just. But we're able to look at these things over here when we look in this chapter over here. And again, we're talking about the life of Sarah.
I think that
she didn't do none of these things, right? She's exempt from all of these things because she's the antithesis of all of these things.
More, I think that that scab thing too, like it's just a scab on your head. Like I was up there.
It just was all of these things was terrible. Okay, so let's look at one more thing here. Let's see what this other comment here. Abraham and Sarah reciprocate respect for each other. He listens to her and she listens to him. Her example of discretion is a jewel and a key, and opposite the stereotype. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so when we look at,
I think you missed the last comment too.
Oh, did I? Oh, okay, what's this one saying?
These are
the lovely things that a royal daughter would have that Yahweh will take from the haughty daughters.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. And he does that, right? So let's look at first thinking about the idea of where what would strengthen someone to be able to go into these different hostile situations, and strengthen one to be able to stay inside of one's allotted positions. Let's look over at let's look into some apocrypha books real quick. Let me see, where's my cursor here? I'll go find it. We're trying to talk about Sarah, but I think that Sarah had to have a particular mind frame in order to do the things that she did. So let's go to Baruch 4. Read for us verse 1.
This is the book of the commandments of Yah, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die.
So there's a connection
Hmm.
with life
Mhm.
and walking in the character of the Most High. The Most High has given us his laws, statutes, and commands to show us his character humanized, right? And so when we walk in his character, when we exhibit his characteristics, it helps us to come to life. Yeshua said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. When we allow Messiah to come inside of us and transform us and cause us to mimic, to walk in his ways, the commandments on our heart, and us manifesting these things, this is how we experience life. And when we leave it, we die, right? And so when we think about the life of Sarah, right? We think about the life of Sarah. She went into some situations where, from a natural perspective, she wasn't supposed to make it back.
Mhm.
But because she trusted in the Most High intervened in her situation every single time. And she wasn't up here testing the Most High either. I feel like Abraham was testing the Most High.
Mhm.
Like Abraham was out here jumping off of cliffs, talking about save me out here with what he was doing. But Sarah, she didn't have a choice in the matter. She just was doing what her husband had said for her to do, right? And so the Most High was intervening in her situation. Here, let's look at because of her faith, the faith that she was exhibiting. Because again, Abraham wasn't exhibiting faith. If he was, he wouldn't have never sent them out there in the first place. Okay, let's look at Surah 17. What's verse 17 and 11? 11 say. Wait, hold on a second. 17. Oh, yeah.
11. Beside this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for a heritage.
The law of life. Again, the law, the commands of the Most High over here are being referred to as the law of life. This is the things that bring us into life. Yeshua is the word personified. This is why we can say that he is life, right? One more. This is kind of a negative example, like unto what we looked at in Isaiah over here, chapter 3 here. Let's see, verse 29. Read 29 and 30.
Our fathers at the beginning were strangers in Egypt, from whence they were delivered, and received the law of life, which they kept not, which ye also have transgressed after them.
They received the law of life. So again, we talk about Sarah. She was someone who preceded the codified law. However, there was a way that the Most High, taught those that followed after him at that time that was taught to them from father to son, and from the Most High speaking to his people directly, that they understood to be ways that were pleasing in the eyes of the Most High. And so when we look at, again, the character traits of our forefathers, of our foremother over here, Sarah, where she was able to walk in these situations where death was all around her, we see that she actually was able to come out on top, right? Because she had life. Okay, hold on one second here. Let me just look at this one thing here. Okay, let's look at really fast. Let's go to First Peter. First of all, let me go back to scriptures. Oh wait, it won't let me do it until I go off of these here. So let's go to Sarah. She had a way about her. She had a way about her. First Peter, Sarah.
Oh, he's almost there.
Let's go to First Peter 3. Hold on one second. Read for us. Start reading here at verse 1.
In the same way, wives, be subject to your own husbands, so that if any are disobedient to the word, they, without a word, might be won by the behavior of their wives.
Hold on, start over again. Read that again.
In the same way, wives, be subject to your own husbands, so that if any are disobedient to the word, they, without a word, might be won by the behavior of their wives.
Okay, so let's see here. If any, and they here is the husbands. If any of the husbands are disobedient to the word, they, without a word, might be won by the behavior of their wives. So we're talking about husbands who are going off a little bit. They done went off. So.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
Well, yeah, a little bit. I don't know what the situation is. It's just kind of general. But the wife, then, the faithful wife, the best case scenario wife, right? It's talking about a wife that's operating the way in which that a wife should be operating. Her behavior, her conduct, her conversation should bring that husband back into right situation. That's what we're saying over here, right? Keep on going.
So, having seen your blameless behavior in fear, your adornment should not be outward, arranging the hair, wearing gold, or putting on dresses.
Okay. So when we think about verse 3 over here, it causes us to think about what we were just looking at over there in Isaiah. Where over there, them people was adorning themselves outwardly all over the place. They had about 5 verses worth of commas. They got this and that and this and that all over the place. Right?
That reminds me of somebody got rings on every finger. I don't care if you have diamonds and gold on every finger.
When you get to the thumb with rings, you going too far. Well, you got somebody, you can have 4 rings on your hand. But then you start doubling up on one finger, and then you start putting stuff on your thumb. Like you don't went too far. You got your whole jewelry box on you, like all at once, right? And so he's saying over here, your adornment, the woman, your adornment, the wife, should not be outward. You don't gotta be out here with all of this stuff that you doing over. Like, what you doing it for? So somebody could look at you, arranging your hair, wearing your gold. Okay, putting on dresses. Now let me just say this. This don't mean that she's not supposed to put on a dress. Like, it don't mean that she can't have this or that. Right? But when you're out here kind of overly doing this or that, this is what it's dealing with.
Like
right?
the context behind it.
You got to have it can't be like you're like, again, you can't be like the stereotypical woman out here that's, she's so fashion forward. She has all of these things that she, adorns herself with. Like we ran out of things to adorn. And now no, I wasn't going to say the filters. That's another thing. But the eyelashes, though.
Oh, no.
The eyelashes is crazy. Like, this is like, we ran out of things. We ran out of things to beautify. So now we got this other thing that they are doing, where it's taking it too far. Right. There's a difference between looking nice and presentable, which is one thing. Yes, please, by all means,
nice. Let's
just be presentable. Like,
nice.
But when you get to the place of calling attention to oneself, that's what this is. Modesty. This is a curse word out here these days. This word modesty, right? But that's what this is talking about over here.
It's the behavior behind her actions, like you see here, blameless behavior and fear. About all that outward stuff. But I think that people
hold on. It's modesty is in fact about behavior, but it's both. Like, it's not like it's one and not the other. Like, it's appearance. It's what you are projecting from a physical standpoint in your attire. Is definitely the Most High through Peter is saying over here that you need to be fortifying and adorning your inner self.
That's right.
And when you're doing that from an internal standpoint, this is the thing that the Most High is looking for. And not only that he's looking for, that is something that is congruent with who you are as a wife.
That's right.
Like, he's talking to the wives over here, and he got all of these things to say. And so it's your inward situation that he is calling for you to put jewels and gold and eyelashes on in your spirit. Not from a physical thing, but go ahead. What else?
Okay. But I mean, talk about people making up things. It becomes, I think, when you put on
making up things.
Well,
you mean like makeup?
Makeup, the filters.
The filters, yeah.
I mean, literally, people think that's what they look like.
Oh my goodness, it's out of control. It's out of control. This world that we live in is out of control. Like, we want to call so much attention to ourselves. We hate ourselves so much that we put out these. You can't even dare. Like, first of all, I got to paint my face first of all, where I've made myself look like someone that's not even me anymore. But after I do all that, then I have some digital things that's that's enhancing the things that I can't do with paint. I'm doing digitally now. For what though? Why? Because when I see you in real life, I'm gonna find out the truth. So really it's a lie then, right? I'm lying. Like if I'm presenting myself in a particular way digitally, and then when you see me in the flesh and I'm different, I lied to you, didn't I? So I'm saying makeup is just a lie.
Well, the kind that
the way that these people be making their faces,
the way that it is,
it's like a clown mask. It's a clown mask. It's a clown mask. If somebody's in a clown makeup, like you don't really know what that person looks like.
Enhancing is different, but if you take
I know, but this ain't enhancing what they doing. Like you could have a before and after, and they don't even look like the same person. It's not like enhancing. Like enhancing is like putting on some lip gloss or something where you got some shiny lips and maybe like a little making, I don't know, make it little eyes dark or something like that. That's enhancing. but you done changed the color. They be having purples and all these other things. Like, we don't have purples. We don't have purples in our hue in real life. It's cracking. It's cracking me up. Who gonna cancel me? I don't care. If somebody cancel me, then that's what. I don't care. I'm just saying, like, this is just, it's not right. Like, it's a lie. It's a lie. Wow. But anyway, looking at First Peter. Well, what'd you read down to?
I was at
start reading at verse 3.
All right, 3 again. Your adornment should not be outward, arranging the hair, wearing gold, or putting on dresses, but the hidden man of the heart.
It said the hidden man of the heart. It put something on that. Cause that part of you to be beautiful. I'm saying that when we look at Sarah, that's what she did.
Yes, she did.
I mean, she was just naturally beautiful anyway.
So beautiful.
She was old and beautiful. Like her beautifulness didn't never fade when she got old. Not because she had filters and eyelashes and a wig. She had natural beauty. She was so beautiful that Abraham always thought somebody was going to take her and kill him because of how beautiful that she was.
Hey, I remember, and I probably shouldn't bring this up, but I remember there was a guy who he wanted his wife to come here. He wasn't able to come. We'll just say that. And he was like, "But my wife is so beautiful," and I just, I think about like people still think like that. You know what I mean? Like they're still like a little, afraid.
And when you think about it, again, we're talking about the life of Sarah. When you think about the things that we learned from, this was an issue. This was an issue where Abraham had these thoughts of what may or may not happen because of the beauty of his wife, and he caused all of these problems to, as a result of it. When the whole time, if he would have been able to trust in the Most High in these situations, he would have been able to again pass these tests, right? But First Peter is talking about the hidden man of the heart, right? This incorruptible ornament of a meek. Hold on, read that right there, verse 4.
But the hidden man of the heart, with the incorruptible ornament of a meek and peaceful spirit, which is of great value before Elohim.
The thing that the Most High wants for you to be adorning yourself, the ornament of a meek and peaceable spirit. When we think about a meek and peaceable spirit, if we don't see Sarah, I don't know who we see. She never even physically, outwardly reacted to these situations that she got called out on. She got called out on things that happened in her mind, in her heart. But she kept herself in a meek and peaceable way.
Yeah, she did.
And that has great value with Elohim, it says over here. And so the Most High, he's trying to figure out what is your heart situation. How have you caused your inner man to be strong, or your inner woman to be strong? How have you decked your soul with ornaments? These things that you're able to adorn your spirit with never die. Because again, we're talking about life and death. We're talking about, well, life is the things that come from the Most High. Every good and perfect gift comes from above. We're talking about life. We're talking about the character of the Most High on the inside of you. These are things that will never be corrupted. And so in the context of First Peter, we're talking about these things that he's saying. First Peter is saying that is what's to be looked for in a wife, in a woman. These are the things that that Sarah exhibited. Like she's the poster child of this. Right? Keep on going.
5. For in this way, in former times, the set-apart woman who trusted in Elohim.
Peter is about to tell you the same thing that I'm saying, because we could look back in former times and see holy women, ones who trusted in Elohim, and ones that adorn themselves, the ones that's being subject to their own husbands. Who are you talking about?
Sarah.
So as Sarah obeyed Abraham.
This is a one sentence. It's broken up in different numbers. This is one sentence. The period is way up here. All of this stuff, it's a build-up, like it's like a crescendo. In this way, in former times, holy women who trusted in Elohim with adorning themselves, being subject to their own husband. They're the same way Sarah obeyed Abraham. Keep on going.
Calling him master, of whom you became children, doing good and not frightened by any fear.
If I want to know right now. If we're gonna sit up here and talk about trusting in the Most High, I'm gonna say, we're going down to wherever we're going to, and we're going through this. We're going through this crazy hood, right? And I'm afraid that if these people out here get a hold of you, then they're gonna kill me. You go with them and say that you're not my wife, but we're not even gonna talk about what then. Like, where do we talk about where Abraham and Sarah talk about, well, you go down there and say that you are my sister, and then I'm gonna come rescue you after that? It don't talk about that. What's the then part? What's the then that happens? If I was to sit up there and have this conversation with my wife, and that's the end of it, like, go ahead with these people and tell them that you are my sister and not my wife.
I'll be like, oh,
period. And that's the end, though. That's the end of it. What's she gonna be like?
I'll be like, oh.
She ain't even going. No, the first thing she gonna say is, and then what? Like, what's the rest? Like, she, to her, I'm saying period, but to her it's like comma. Like, what's after that? Like,
You gonna go get your boys and y'all guns and then come over here and help.
there's a what's the rescue plan? Like, how long do I gotta wait before I call 911? Like there's a follow-up over here. But when we look over here at the actions of Sarah, none of those things matter because she's trusting in the Most High. She's not even, it goes beyond what Abraham is even able or willing to even do.
He's afraid, and she's not.
He's obviously afraid, and she just going and doing whatever he said. So when we think about what it talks about back in Deuteronomy in 4:39, understanding that Yahweh is the Elohim of the heavens above and the earth below, it don't matter what the situation is when you're able to trust in the Most High, and you're going into whatever situation that you're going in because you know that he is in control. And so she's able, as it talks about over here, to obey her husband, to call him Lord, of whom you became children. He talking to all the women. Sarah is the mother of the women of Israel. And these things up here is the way in which that you are supposed to be behaving in a functional way, carrying out your purpose as a woman. And so again, when we think about the life of Sarah, we learn all of these things. We learn about kind of the ways that a woman of the Most High should actually be. These things over here, it's 2023. This verse right here, you get into some arguments over here. Where did he say? Where did she call him Lord at? Where'd she say that at? Where that verse at? Don't they be like that? Don't they be like that?
Well, how about
did you ever talk to somebody who was like,
yes,
where did she call him Lord at?
Of course I did. But
this is triggering right here.
Don't you, when you have married people, and isn't that an optional?
It's what optional?
That part right there.
What do you mean is it optional?
The Lord part.
I'm confused by the question. Restate it, maybe.
Well, I mean, you have a wedding service. That's all I'm saying.
You mean like how I you talking about how I would officiate it?
Yeah, the officiating of the wedding.
Oh, well, I say, right? I only did like 3 weddings in my life, first of all. But with my official ceremony that I do, I tell people, especially the last one that I did, which was somebody kind of who, was just looking for somebody to do it, and I was able to do it. So I told the person, what I say. And if the part about obeying was an issue, like I let it be known, because I understand that some people, are kind of, they don't have that type of understanding, and that's not, when people come together, they can have whatever type of relationship that they think that they're supposed to have. And I'm not going to make the boundaries for people, but I would give you kind of I give people the option in that regard to if they're going to say that part or not. Yeah. But I'm saying from a standpoint, if you're gonna ask me the way that it actually should be, that's a whole other
Yes.
situation. Because I feel like the scripture helps for us to understand the roles of men and women. We see in the scripture that we have roles. We have, if it's an army, we have positions that we are. We have, a man. He's the general, right? He's what's on top of a general in the army? Is there something on top of the general?
Right, the monarch or the whatever.
Probably, yeah. Whoever the
leader.
Yeah. So that's, I'm saying, in the army though, he's on top. So
Yeah,
in the family, the man is the general, and the wife is like whatever's next after the general. She's now also general. There's only one general. Is it corporal or admiral? I don't know what it is. She's an admiral, but she's not the general.
Admiral is the commander of the fleet.
I don't know what it is, but I'm saying it's not the same thing.
Oh,
right? Whatever's under general, whatever right under. That's what the wife
lieutenant
is.
General.
I don't know. I don't know what she is. But she's not the general, right? And then that's just the way in which the Most High set it up like that. I just bear witness to what he put in order. And so when we look at, I'm so happy that we looked at those verses over in Isaiah chapter 3, because we're able to see kind of the contrast. There's a way that the Most High wants for us to be, and there's a way that we are. And just because things are, just because we exist in a particular reality, it don't make those things to be correct. When we think about the idea of headship, the first place we see it, and we're seeing it here, example for us perfectly with, and Peter's bringing it out with Sarah and Abraham. He's making bad choices over here, but Sarah understands her role, and she's doing what he said to do, because she understands that she is his wife. He is the covering over her, and she submits herself to the will of her husband. That's what she did. And so Abraham, we could look at Abraham and judge what he did, and we could actually call that wrong. But she didn't sit up there and say, well, I'm gonna follow him as long as he's doing what's right. But as soon as he don't do what's right, I ain't following him no more. If that was the case, then she never would have went over there with the people. But she followed him based on not right or wrong, but based on, that's my husband, and he said what he said, and I'm going to do it and trust in the Most High. And so, this is some powerful things that we are being taught by Sarah. And she never said anything to us, but she's teaching us these things by, just like it says over here, by her conduct, by the way in which she lived her life. And this to me is a powerful lesson, and it's a lesson that I feel like is a much needed lesson, especially in these times today, where we look around and we see weakness in men. We see weakness in those that are supposed to be the heads and the protectors of families. And what happens is the kind of instinct kicks in, and the woman, she fills in the gaps. We see it's interesting when you look at Deborah, for instance, where she was the prophetess at in Israel, and people went up and people talked to her and looked to her for guidance and judgment. But the problem is that not that what she was doing was something that was wrong, because she was, but she was filling in the gaps. She filled in the gaps. And let's look over at just real quick, look over at Judges 5. Read verse 7 right there. Hold on 1 second. 7. Verse 7.
No. Okay. Leadership ceased. It ceased in Israel.
Hold on. The issue that we see right here, read the whole thing.
Leadership ceased. It ceased in Israel until I, Deborah, arose, a mother of Israel, arose.
It was a problem. Leadership ceased. The men stopped being men who they were supposed to be. Leadership stopped. It ceased in the whole nation. And she filled in the gaps. Was she wrong? No, she wasn't wrong.
No.
She was right. What was wrong was that leadership ceased. What was wrong that it ceased in the whole nation. Like the whole nation didn't have a man to step up and do what he was supposed to do. And so she took the reins. She tried to even just cause the man to do what he was supposed to do. But he was too weak to do it. But I'm saying all that just to say we could easily find where examples of the women or the mothers being strong and shining. But the first thing that happened was the men wasn't being men. And so it's necessary for us in these situations, in every situation, for us to seek what life will have for us to be doing, for us to seek what the character of the Most High will have for us to be doing. We live in this world where, especially this world that we live in right now, we live in this world where, the man is absent. Where is he? Where is he at? You can't find him. And so nature kicks in, and then the woman she rises up to the top. But she's not able to be a man. She's just able to kind of take the position that he left void and do the best that she could do. But she can't be who she isn't. Well, I guess now in these days and times, she could just decide that she can be. But these aren't the things that the scripture helps for us to understand. The scripture, in fact, helps for us to understand that we have the perfect example in Sarah of what it is that a woman should be. I'm not even going to say godly woman, even though that's what she is. But this is what a woman should be, right? And so again, we look to the life of Sarah, we see all of these things. Okay, let's look at what this says, this comment here. It says, I think I would have done what Sarah did, because my husband hasn't made a wrong move with me or my family. Why question his call when he, oh, your husband, why question his call when he has been a proper leader and remain Yah fearing? Well, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing to say. I feel like in scenario land, I feel like we can think about what it is that we might do in this or that situation. And I hope that the things that we say that we might or would do when we come to situations where we have to live by what we said, that we're able to do that. We don't have to guess or think about Sarah, because she lived her whole life and we saw what she was able to do, and she exemplified it for us. What was you going to say? Did you?
There was a comment before that, and then an answer after.
Which
301.
Oh, in Genesis 16:5, what did Sarah mean when she said, "Let Yahweh judge between me and you concerning Abraham"? Hold on. Let's see what. 16:5. Okay, read for us. Let's read 3 through 5 just so we can get the context here. What does that say?
And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her female servant, the Mitzrian, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan. And he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said to Abram, "My wrong be upon you. I gave my female servant into your bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. Let Yahweh judge between you and me."
Oh, okay. So we gotta. So the question is, what does she mean? Well, I think that after the situation happened, everybody wasn't clear on what their roles were supposed to be. I think that there became issues, as it says over here. Sarah speaking, "I was despised in her eyes." So Hagar started to look at Sarah wrongly after this whole situation happened. And so there was a problem with the way in which, I'm saying the problem here is not Sarah's situation, is Hagar's. She, in fact, has become haughty here. She actually don't have a right to feel any kind of way towards her mistress. Her mistress was despised in her eyes. She, because she was given to Abraham as a wife, she, in her mind, kind of tried to move herself up to a position that wasn't hers. I talked about this when we went over this in chapter 16, that Sarah was a wife to Abraham. Hagar was a wife to Abraham. But Hagar was a servant to Sarah, and that relationship never changed. And so even though she got an added title attached to her name, she never got anything taken away because she was still the servant of Sarah. And so she got out of pocket. She got high-minded about her new duties. Her new duties that she received. And now there was a situation. And so I feel like as Sarah over here, she had every right to say whatever she wanted to say about it, because how is my servant going to come over here and be looking at me funny when she's my servant? And she still called, if we still have this here, her mistress was despised in her eyes. If we still have this servant mistress relationship, Hagar, she needed to check herself over here. And so when we see this played all the way out, the Most High sides on the side of right over here, and ends up saying, just you do whatever it is that Sarah wants for you to do in that situation. If that's what she wants, the Most High told Abraham, you could go ahead and don't even worry about him like that. Like Abraham was sad about losing his son, and the Most High said, you could turn that little emotional faucet off. Just turn that right off. Don't be sad about that. Don't worry about that. You're gonna have this other situation over here. He was totally non-sympathetic with his feelings as it related to the loss of his son and them being sent off. And so we're able to see that Hagar, she started to get haughty, and so she had to pay for that. And she got put out. She got taken care of, but it was no longer Abraham's job or duty to take care of her anymore.
Yeah, she got her freedom.
Yeah, I guess she did, right? Did we see this one already?
What? The last
Sarah is a perfect example of balance of the role of womanhood. She is obedient to Abraham, speaks up when needed to get things back on track. Genesis 16:5, and y'all agreed in Genesis 21:12. Yes, I agree. Okay, so Sarah. All right, let's keep on going, because besides when we look at this chapter, besides the idea of what it is that Sarah is able to teach us through what we see by looking at her life, we're also able to think about some other ideas and concepts. When we drop down to read for us again in Genesis 23. Read for us over here, verse 4.
For I am a foreigner and a sojourner among you. Give me property for a burial site among you, so that I bury my dead from my presence.
Okay, so when we see over here where Abraham's going, he goes and deals with these people. Abraham, he had a way about himself. He didn't want to owe anybody nothing. He never wanted for people to try to have anything that they was able to bring back on him later. These people having somewhat of a honor and respect for him, try to say, well, go ahead, you have this, you can have this, what I mean, and go ahead and bury your people there. And Abraham's like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and pay you
the price you said.
I'm gonna pay the money.
The money you even said.
And then whatever price you come up with, I'm gonna pay it, and then it's just gonna be mine. And nobody can't come back later and be like, it ain't yours. And so, he has this thing about him, which I think is interesting. But the thing that I wanted to kind of just think about here in this chapter here is when he says that I am a foreigner and sojourner among you. I'm a foreigner and a sojourner among you. And so when we think about, this life that we live, it's interesting. This actually is they're in the promised land. He's in the land that's actually promised to him. The Most High said that he was going to have this land, that where he's literally standing was going to be his land. And so when you think about, Abraham and what he's doing over here, he's just kind of just being right with all people in every situation. But when you think about this idea of being a foreigner and a sojourner among you, here, let's look at these words here. This is verse 4. He said, I am two things that he says here.
He said he's a goy.
He said that he is a ger.
Yeah.
He says that he's a ger, which is, it's not goy. It's
nation, I guess, would be goy.
It's
the person.
That's you have the same kind of understand interpretation of what it is, but it's just not it's a different word here. It's a guest. It's a foreigner. It's an alien. A sojourner. It's a stranger, right? He's not someone who is connected to the land, right? He's somewhere where he doesn't belong, right? He's a foreigner. He's a stranger. He's a guest. It's not mine. It's yours. I'm just visiting, right? He said, but he's a stranger and he's a sojourner. He's a ger and he's a toshab, right? So this word here is a dweller, right? Distinguished from a native citizen. He's a temporary inmate. He's a mere lodger. He's a resident. And so it's like these two words, ger and toshav, are kind of giving you the same type of understanding, where it's a guest, it's a newcomer, it's someone who doesn't have a permanent residence. He's someone who's lacking in inherited rights. He's an alien, right? All of these things are true. He's a yoshab, right? He is someone who is
squatting.
Yeah, he's a squatter. Because toshab is from the word yashab, which means to sit down, to settle. So, but he's temporarily settling, right? And so when we think about this as a, kind of what we are, as the people of the Most High in this place where we are in fact foreigners and sojourners in this place. If you want to talk about the physical place where we are, America, or if you want to even take it to a broader context and just dealing with the fact that we're in this world,
Yes.
right? But we're not of this world. We're foreigners and sojourners in this world that we live in. And so while we're in this place, just like Abraham, we gotta do things in this place according to the rules of the land. Abraham didn't just say, well, the Most High gave me this place, so it's mine now. Because he had to deal with the rules that was in place that never got canceled out. They may have gotten canceled out later, but at that point, they wasn't. And so he had to deal with a particular law that was in place that wasn't his law, but he had to adapt to what was going on. This place is yours. Just give me a price. The Most High said it's going to be mine, but right now it's yours. So give me a price and I'll pay. And so we live in this world. There's things that we have to do in this world. There's things that there's ways that we have to we got to follow by the rule book because this is the world that we live in. If not, I mean, you could not follow by the rule book if you want to, but somebody coming for you. They're gonna come and they're gonna come and remind you whose world this is. Let's go over to Psalms. Psalm 17. I read this last week. Start reading at verse 13. Read to the end.
Arise, O Yahweh, confront him, cause him to bend. Deliver my being from the wrong by your sword, from men by your hand, O Yahweh, from men of the world whose portion is in this life. And you fill their bellies with your treasure. They are satisfied with children, and shall leave their riches to their babes. As for me, let me see your face in righteousness. I am satisfied to see your appearance when I awake.
When we, as the people of the Most High, have our focus where it's supposed to be, we are satisfied to see the Almighty. We're satisfied when we're able to understand and know who the Most High is and what our position is with Him and what He provides for us. The men of the world, their portion is in this life. They get whatever they're going to get now. But when the Most High comes with His judgment, that's all that they ever going to have gotten, the things that they have acquired in this life. When we're able to have our focus be aligned to the Most High, we can have, now that's not to say that we can't have a portion in this life and that our bellies can't be filled with treasures and that we can't be satisfied with children and that we can't have riches that we leave to our babies. But what is true is that when we're able to follow after the Most High and be satisfied with His appearance and with His righteousness, then we're able to have all of those things in this life and in the next life. When we look at Abraham, he had all types of things. He had things. He had inheritances that he was able to deliver to his children. He had his portion in this life. Abraham did. He when he goes up to these people over here, the owners of these land, he wasn't haggling with these people.
He wasn't like trying to get a lower price.
He just threw the thing in his cart. He just picked it up and threw it in the cart. He didn't care about what the price was. This is what I want. Give me your price and I'll pay it.
That's funny.
And so,
We'd be like trying to come down on the price.
yeah. Well, hold on. Well, you sure that it's worth all that?
What kind of coupons you gonna get on that?
You sure I can't get a discount
I
with
see
this?
the foundation little damage right
Yeah,
here.
he got all these dead trees over in that corner. That cave look kind of used up a little bit. He ain't haggling about it. He just saying, whatever it is, I'll pay it. But the difference is that Abraham, he has a connection with the Most High. And so again, when we think about Abraham and him making this kind of proclamation as to, he's basically, he has this kind of as like a designation of who he is as a foreigner and a sojourner among you. And so when we think about this as an idea, as us being Israel, our situation is the same. We are in fact foreigners and sojourners in this place. And, we live in this place that, we're not native to this place. We have to abide by the ways that go on in this place, but we have a king that we follow. We have a master that we follow after, and our lives have to be aligned with Yeshua, right? Our master, right? We have to live our lives according to the will of the Most High, right? This is where our standards begin. And so they could come up with all of these thoughts and ideas about, how people are supposed to think about things nowadays. But I serve the Most High. And so, I'm gender assigned. So I'm cis. Okay. Whatever the doctor looked and seen that I was, that's what I am. Because that's what I agree with the way that the Most High made me. Okay. My ways are not these people's ways.
So if people look at you strange, you just be like, well, I'm a gear to the shop.
I'm a foreigner and a stranger in this place. If they look at me strange, I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna go over to you. If they look at me strange, I'm gonna be glad that they look at me strange. Because I don't want them to agree with me. I don't want them. I do want them to agree with me, but I don't care if they don't agree with me. Let's say that. I do want them to agree with me. By all means, agree with me. By all means. But I'm not going to feel a certain kind of way if you don't. What do verse 12 right there say?
Therefore, Yeshua spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall by no means walk in darkness, but possess the light of life.
I'm by no means am I going to walk in darkness. By no means. I can't agree with these ways because these are some dark ways out here.
Strange.
And these ways of these people that's out here, they're becoming more and more normalized as we progress through time. these ways that are clearly wicked, dark ways are becoming the norm. But we have to continue to be lights in this world of darkness. And if we follow after Messiah, we will by no means walk in darkness. So that means that we're not going to be lost. We're not going to be lost. Our path is going to be visible. Right? We'll be able to know where it is that we're supposed to be going. We'll know who it is that we're supposed to be following because we're following after the truth, the way, the truth, and the life, who is Yeshua HaMashiach.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a kind of a thing when we think about these two ideas together, again, thinking about the life of Sarah, thinking about being a sojourner, a foreigner and a sojourner in this world, these two things together. One thing that we're able to look at kind of when we think about both of these things is the idea of faith, of unwavering faith, right? We're able to think of the idea of a confidence that we have in the way in which we seek to live our lives, right? An assurance that the Most High is, in fact, leading our lives and providing a clear path for us to walk through this world of darkness, right? We can look ahead of us and see that there's darkness in front of us. But when we understand and know that we have a light inside of us, we can go into the darkness because we have a light. Right? When you go out here to these, this is interesting. When you go out here to these places for, like we do for the feast, when we're out here in these places where there's no natural light around and it's dark, right? And you got to go from one place to the other. Just to walk outside in darkness when there's no street lights, the light of the moon and the stars is covered by trees. There's no light visible. I ain't going out there without no light.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so think about the fact that this world is just that. This world that we live in is just that. There's no visible light. There's no light anywhere. There's nothing but darkness all around. There's nothing but things that obscure the vision and the light from your path. And so if you go out there without light, you're going to trip. You're going to fall. You're going to hurt yourself. Right? Are you going to just go out the door and just run full speed in the pitch black? You're going to run into something. You're going to hurt yourself, maybe badly, right? But what's the difference between that and what we're talking about over here with these words of Yeshua? This world is the woods in the dark, in the night, with no light. Without Messiah in us as the light, you're going to fall. You're going to trip over something and fall and hurt yourself. or you're never going to get to the place where you're trying to get to. You may not trip, but how you going? You're never going to get where you're trying to get to if you can't see anything. And so, let's look at chapter 12. Read verse 46.
I have come as a light into the world so that no one who believes in me should stay in darkness.
There's no reason. There's no reason for you to walk around in darkness if you have indeed actually come into the light. Because there's darkness all over the place. There's darkness in the world. But when you believe in Messiah, when you have faith, unwavering faith, trust, assurance, confidence in Messiah, we won't stay in darkness. And so again, when we think about the life of Sarah and the fact that she exhibited faith and trust, unwavering faith and trust in the Most High, where she was able to go into these situations that, for all intents and purposes, could only result in something bad happening. She went because she had that light inside of her. When we think about Abraham, who's speaking to this person who owned this land, maybe it was their custom to just say, well, okay, you can have this. But he didn't live his life according to those customs.
Somebody come back and be like,
this is my daddy's land. I never seen nobody talk about you or your people.
Where you come from?
You get all your stuff out of that cave. I want to put my people in there. This said that they got all the land and it was deeded. What that mean? What does it say over there? I wonder if it mean what I think it mean. He said over there that stuff was deeded.
The choices.
Huh?
The choices one.
Hold the word, man. Round about was made sure. Coon. By it accomplished, confirmed, decreed, endured, enjoined.
Mm-hmm.
So these things it was made final, right? Just kind of like how you was thinking about it. If you got the deed, that's it. Nobody's able to go back on what we've established. We put this thing we fortified this thing, right? And so, again, when we think about, looking at this chapter and understanding kind of the things that we're able to learn, it helps us in our life with Messiah, because we see that and understand that, we have to be able to trust in the Most High and what he said that he's going to do for us, right? He said that he will be us and provide for us and cause us even to actually be light in this world that is utter darkness. When we believe in him. Believing in him is not like a one-time thing, like it's something that you've done at one point in time.
I believe that.
I believe, back whenever they called me down, to the altar call or whatever. But believing in Messiah is a constant reality. Because if Sarah would have said, I believed in the Most High, whenever they left their homeland, but she didn't continue to believe in the Most High whenever trials and tribulations came around, she never would have been able to live the life that she lived. When we think about Abraham connecting himself to the Most High and agreeing with the covenant that was made by the Almighty, and putting the sign of that covenant in his flesh and living out the promises that the Most High had given to him. At this point, we see kind of the mature Abraham, who he's not concerned with the ways of these people. He's lived in there, he's dwelling there, but he's not part of these people. Yeah, I'm living here. I'm here. This is where my tent is, but I don't belong to you people. I don't want no parts of this. Somebody could come along and say, oh, you're my people. My people live here. Abraham's like, nah, you people might be all around, but I bought this place. I'm different from y'all. I don't got to abide by y'all's situation. This is my situation. I paid for it. It's all me. Oh, he got a different set of rules. We have to have a different set of rules. It don't matter if this is the way of the world. We have to have the way of the Most High inside of our hearts and minds, and we live our lives according to those rules and standards. Because when we get too friendly with here, let's end with this over here.
You don't get too friendly. I just think about Sukkot whenever I'm thinking about all this, because whenever I talk to the people, I'm like, the space that we have can't be communal with the other campers or whatever.
I know it was an interesting Sukkot this year because of just the time of year it was that people was getting ramping up for their Halloween festivities, and so they got all of their little things that they do whenever. That's one of the reasons why I was kind of so adamant about keeping our little tent of meeting where it was, because them people was all with their little whatever they was doing, and I didn't want for them people to feel like they was able to just come over and say happy Halloween to us. I wanted for our little tent of meeting to be right where it was in the open, so everybody see when we go out and we do our little prayers in the morning, or we have our little meetings throughout the day, that they seen us and knew that we wasn't the same as them. I don't know what them people is over there, but they different from us.
They probably didn't want to come over.
And I wasn't mad. I wouldn't have been mad if they came over, but I wasn't mad that they didn't, because I can't be friends with them people if they're gonna be like that. If they want to come to the Most High, then that's one thing. Read verse 4 right there.
Adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with Elohim? Whoever therefore intends to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of Elohim.
I can't be friends with these other people. I'm not friends with y'all. I'm not friends with you or your ways, because your ways are wicked. And if I become a friend to you, I'm making myself an enemy to Elohim. That's what it says over there. And so that's what Abraham was like. I can't be involved in y'all's little pinky swears and all of this. Yeah, that's how they would. The guy was just like, here, you can have this land. You live here, just go ahead and have it. Yeah. But Abraham was like, nah, my brother, I need to pay you. I'll pay you. I'll buy this land so it'll be literally mine, deeded to me. And so, he wasn't trying to be no friend of this person. I'm not part of y'all. I'm a sojourner. I'm a foreigner to y'all. And so again, looking at this chapter,
It'd be like we didn't see nothing. He did not say that.
yeah, they nothing's left just to be thought about or whatever. And so, when we look at this chapter, we think about the things that it kind of shows us, that it points us towards. This is what what we see over here. We see faith. We see trust. We see believing in what it is that the Most High already said that He was going to do, and our being this necessary for us to remain steadfast. And think about Abraham when he got to the place where where he was, in the last chapter, whenever the Most High said, "Go up here and sacrifice your son to me." He just was like, "All right, we'll be back. All right, we'll be back. We'll be back." Right? Because that is a confidence in what the Most High already said He was going to do. He said that He was going to make a nation from His seed. That was right there. So the things that was going on didn't cause for him to think that the Most High was a lie. In fact, he knew that the Most High was telling the truth. So whatever was going to happen, if he was going to go through with it, or if he was going to provide the sacrifice, whatever the case was, he was coming back. Sarah wasn't worried about what happened after she had to go and be with these people. She knew that the Most High was going to keep her. And so we have to be able to live our lives knowing that when we have Messiah in our hearts, when we continue to live a life of believing in Messiah, that we're able to walk through this life, through our trials, through our tribulations, and get through these things. Yes, there might be some uncomfortable situations that we find ourselves in, but at the end of the day, we are going to get through these situations closer to the Most High than we started. Okay, so that being said, does anybody have any questions, comments before we end? Okay, I guess not then. All right, so that being said, for now, we'll say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Y'all willing, we'll be back on next week. We'll be back, y'all willing, to deal with some more of the book of Bereshit. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of your Shabbat. We'll say to you, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh yeah. Oh.